So there are actually 4 different forms of feeds. We have pelleted, textured, extruded, and then cube. A pelleted feed comes in a 5/32 inch pellet. So basically, all of the feed ingredients are ground up into a mash and then pushed through a die to create little pellets. Pellets are really good because the feed ingredients are mixed thoroughly, and you can ensure that the horse is getting the same amount of each ingredient and of all of the vitamins and minerals and ingredients in every bite. Textured feed is a mix of grains, so corn, oats, protein pellet, and then there are 2 forms of a textured feed. There is what we call a sweet feed, which contains molasses, and then there's a dry blend, which does not contain molasses. Instead, it has a soybean oil postcoat. The third feed form is extrusion, and basically the feed ingredients are pushed through an extruder at very high temperatures, which bursts or pops almost the starch. Think of dog food. It's kind of a fluffy form where the nutrients are mostly digested by the time they get through the extruder. And then the fourth form is cubes, and our cubes are in a 3/4 inch size. It looks just like a big pellet, and that's just really easy if you have a broodmare band out in the pasture and you need to feed on the ground. It's easy for those mares to pick up that cube and eat it without eating dirt. When it comes to choosing a form of feed, a lot of it is really personal preference with the horse owner. The little differences are going to be your extruded feeds are going to be extremely low in starch because that starch has already been degraded or pushed out of the feed ingredients through the extrusion process. Your textured feeds, so your sweet feeds or your dry blends, are going to be very high in starch because they use cereal grains as the basis of those feed ingredients. Your pelleted feeds, depending on the ingredient list, can be either low starch or high starch. That's why it's really important to have an open ingredient label so that you can see what those first ingredients are. If those first ingredients are grain byproducts, you can bet that pelleted feed might be a little bit high in starch. If you look at those first ingredients and it's alfalfa meal, soybean meal, rice bran, then that's probably going to be a pretty low starch feed.
For more nutrition tips, log on to bluebonnetfeeds.com.